Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Top 10 edition of Magic Mike's, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and ManaPool.com, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best experience and value while buying cards, and the team is focused on making a great experience whether you're looking to buy a whole Commander deck or selling off some extra cards. Use the promo ManaPool.com/promo/MagicMikes to get 5,000 mana. That's $5 for free money, while supplies last at manapool.com. So get on all up in that, because that's a great way to get you going.
Like, you can't beat free money, man. Yeah. Like there's no better promo than like sign up. Here's $5 for walking in the door.
Yeah, here's money. I don't know what to say. It's free money. Like, it's hard to sell free money, I guess, sometimes, but whatever. I'm Evan Irwin. We get started with our top 10s by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? And man, there are a lot of sweet cards to mess with for Constructed in this set, so that'd be a lot to talk about.
Very exciting. Ruben Bressler.
Hi, everybody. I'm also here. I love Lorwyn. Lorwyn's like for a Kamigawa for Evan. I don't know what it is for Power Dragon necessarily. Maybe it's Tarkir.
For me, it's probably Tempest, and we will never see that again.
Sure. Yeah, we'll never go back to Wrath.
Yeah.
That plane is now overlaid. And spoiler alert. But Lorwyn is that for me. Lorwyn is my home plane. It's the place that I love the most, the lore of. And I'm so glad that we got the love that we got from the Henson Studio promos, the Squeen and Crag podcasts, everyone sort of loving what's happening with the cards and the update to the flavor. It's a great return to Lorwyn.
It's pretty cool. I wish it wasn't so overshadowed by some weird, silly printing issues, but
right.
Because that to me takes away what's cool about the fact we haven't been here in 15 years? Like, that's a long time.
Honest, at the local level, most people aren't even giving a damn. They're just happy to have the cards. Attendance was good for pre-releases. So it's like, it's for us that are entrenched and, online, whatever, we see it, but a lot of people aren't even aware of what's happening.
Yeah, the chronically online people are going to be, absorbing everything. So we notice it. But
we take it in.
It was a misstep. I think it's going to be fine.
Well, we also begin with our choice of the top comment from our last top 10 in a segment we call Honorable Mention, where Ruben will tell us who was the most eloquent and letting us know what card we did not choose as one of our top 10 avatar cards. Ruben?
Well, eloquence is the name of the game in Flyboy245's comment here, not only in verbosity, but also the topic of the card that is being discussed. As we've come to expect from the Universes Beyond set, this set was extremely well crafted, both thematically and mechanically, and pays excellent homage to the original source material that it was designed from. Honestly, there are several cards that would be right at home on this list. Firelord Zuko, because he cares about casting things from exile, a subtle nod to being the exiled prince. Secret Tunnel for the joy that comes from singing the song, which is required anytime you play or activate it. And Ember Island Production for its hilarious portrayal of the hilariously bad stage play. We're watching that probably next week. Don't spoil it. But they're all excellent candidates. However, one card stands above all the rest. Sokka's Haiku is the perfect blend of mana cost, ability, type line, and perfectly on-brand theme. For 5 mana, you get an instant and a lesson, which is not irrelevant, that counters a spell for control purposes, draws a card, mills for graveyard synergies, and untaps a land, basically making it cost 4. And on top of all of that, the text box itself is a haiku, and that's chef's kiss.
Oh my God, that is a haiku, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the whole...
Counter spell.
Now you read it.
Target spell. There's your 5. Yeah. Draw a card, then mill 3 cards. There's your 7. Untap, target, land. Holy cow, that's so cool.
That's the bit.
Exactly.
You didn't realize that till this moment?
Yeah. I did not know that.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
It's so fun.
I
love that.
That's cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for being part of the show. We do certainly appreciate it. And for those who are listening, tell us your top pick here that we don't choose, so we can pick our top 10 honorable mention for next time, which is going to be lots and lots of fun. So that said, before we move on to our top 10, let's hear about our co-sponsor, Mana Traders. Get them up on the screen right now. The best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_4CI. That's MagicMikes_4 Charlie Indigo. That's Magic Mike's. I just wrote that out. For 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders, because they're fun and awesome, and we like them a whole bunch. And we're going to move on here to our top 10 of these sweet new cards. Ruben, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is a clone. And I love clones. I think a lot of players love clones. Not always are they super playable. Not always are they super good. In fact, I think it's probably been since we got Phyrexian Metamorph, since we got something as good as Omni Changeling in terms of cheapness, cost reduction, and ability to be useful. So Omni Changeling is a 5-drop, 3 generic, blue, with Changeling, but it also has Convoke, which means you can tap your creatures to help pay for it, either the blue if they're blue, or generic if they're not blue. And you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of anything on the battlefield, except for that it also has Changeling. So this card is very, very, very good in a deck that wants to be building up on lords. So like Merfolk, for example, it loves Merfolk, elves or goblins, things that have lots of lord-like effects that stack really well together. This one being able to be played with Convoke is huge for those little weenie strategies. Things like fairies and, as I mentioned, Merfolk are going to absolutely love this. Not to mention the fact that it gets the benefit of all those tribal synergies, no matter what the tribal synergy is that you have, because it gains Changeling on its way down. So Omni Changeling, with that cost reduction, with the ability to sneak past that 5 CMC, usually getting down to 3 would be my guess. But you could also tap 2 creatures, pay 3, tap 3 creatures, pay 2 is typically how we're doing this. But we could also Venerated Loxodon. We could just tap 5 creatures and just have another guy. There's lots of ways to play this. So I think this card's really impressive.
Yeah, we don't really have too many, I guess, clones of different types that end up making the cut in constructed play these days. I think we've had one that showed up in anything over the last couple of years, but this one might actually have a chance just because of the reduced costs on it, and it just fits comfortably in anything, and you can copy anything. I think is the other thing. It's not a creature you control or anything. It's just creature on the battlefield, which I think gives it a little bit of an edge over some of the other recent clones that we've had.
Yeah, they say there's something like 16,000 or so melodies, and that's it. Like, that's all the melodies you could possibly have. There's only so many clones that we are able to design in a Magic, world. They're slowly getting to all of them, but we're getting to a lot of them. Most of it these days is just clone with set mechanic, because that's kind of where we're at. This is obviously changing with Convoke, kind of putting those two flavors together, which is awesome. I think the card's really cool. To me, it just makes me start to just concern myself over how many clones do we have left? How many more options we got here,
RNG are some tricky folks. I'm sure we're going to see some crazy stuff still.
Yeah, my guess is the next time we see something like this, it'll copy a non-land permanent instead of a creature.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You gotta keep that thing rolling.
We could get an improvised guy here that only copies artifacts or something.
Right.
They're Magic hires very smart, talented game designers. I'm sure that they can figure out the next clone, no problem.
I'm sure they can. All right, Power Dragon. What's number 10?
My number 10 is a card that actually started out something I thought I was going to dislike and thinking it was super gimmicky, but Lava Leaper. That is one I think a lot of people have overlooked, including myself, but it is a 4-mana 4/4, so 3 in a red, that gives you an elemental, which one reason people started looking at it, obviously, but all creatures have haste, and whenever a player taps a basic land for mana, that player adds additional mana of that type. The interesting thing here is I think the concern was like, oh, well, I'm giving everything haste, right? Or everybody's getting the extra mana off of this. But as it turns out, you can use it just when you're going for something big on your big turn. I played it in a mono red elementals deck where I was able to play multiple things in a turn and win. I played it in the Teamer Battle Crier deck where you just need the 1 red mana, and then all these tokens you make, all these creatures you just made are able to attack and win. So there's some spots where it works really well. And also, we're in a time in Standard where most decks, unless they're monocolored, don't have that many basics. Right? That was the other thing I ran into is opponents had maybe 1 basic out. So it's like, okay, sure. Like, I'm not giving up any value here. Or against control decks, there's like, whatever, you don't have any creatures I'm worried about. Take 4. Right? Like, it's been surprisingly playable, even though I thought it wasn't going to be. So I had to take the L on that one.
This card looks rad.
Yeah. It's a powerful bunch of text here. Um, yeah, I mean, all creatures have haste is obviously dangerous, but can be mitigated. And whenever a player taps a basic land for
Uh-huh.
mana, which is really interesting, as opposed to being a mana flare effect,
Yep.
Lava Leaper is not that. And so if you're in a mono red deck with only mountains and you're playing against a, Esper Control or a blue green deck that's using a lot of duals of various kinds, then both of these downsides, quote unquote, of these mirrored effects are not going to affect you nearly as much. Being a 4/4 for 4 with haste in red is pretty good, and it's a pretty dangerous downside if you're not able to mitigate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, there's that, the sort of the risk there, but I love this kind of risk. This is, you're literally like playing against the metagame. Like, they have given us infinite, awesome, non-basic lands. Like, they do so much. They're so cool. The verges are rather, super easy to fix all of your mana. And here's just like, well, just let's punish them in the right way, because mana flare on both sides is very scary. Heartbeat of Spring and so on. I lived in those worlds. Those are weird times when those cards are playable, but this can honestly just kind of sneak up on people and be like, oh wait, you're getting all the advantage. And I mean, my creatures get haste, and haste is very powerful. Haste is one of the most powerful mechanics that exist on creatures, period. But yeah, also getting your own personal mana flare because you've made sure your deck takes advantage is pretty dope.
Also, let me tell you, one of the beautiful things when you have a Lava Leaper is playing a Lava Leaper alongside a Sunspine Lynx on the same turn and then attacking with both of them. It feels real good, man.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie. It feels real good.
That's good, clean living right there. All right. So for my number 10 here, I don't know. It's tough because I feel like the previous season was pretty quick. Things kind of fell out there as the year began and whatnot. And unofficials also kind of started flowing as well. So there was that. But there was one card, and this was a card that I saw, not just sort of in limited reviews, but also other people talking about it. I think this thing is priced to move. And this card is Lockmare. Lockmare is a blue and a generic mana for a mythic horse serpent. Fun. This mythic horse serpent is a 4/5, but enters with 3 -1/-1 counters on it. So it starts out as a 1/2, right? So, okay, cool. But for a blue and a generic mana, you remove a counter from it and you draw a card. So if you ain't got anything else to do, you're going to draw a card and then you get a swing in for 2 or whatever. For 3 mana, you remove 2 counters from this creature, you tap target creature, and you put a stun counter on it. So this turns into a 3/4 the very next turn if you go 2 mana and 3 mana into this, and you lock down whatever they're doing, their mana producer and so on, so they can't get ahead of you while you're not adding to the board, for example. So like, there's a lot of things I think this card is doing that is very interesting, and I don't know if it's going to get there, but I feel, I got that little tingle in the back going, man, it's got a lot of things going right on this card.
Yeah, that's sort of how I felt about it. It's got all the right words. You know what I mean?
It's a great top deck late. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's just like just enough to make me excited to where like I'm probably gonna try this at some point.
It's so cheap.
Like, do I know totally what I'm gonna do with it yet? Not really, but I mean, again, as a late game top deck, it's so now early on, obviously it enters with 3 counters, so you have this like 1/2 knucklehead or whatever. But
sure,
once you have 4 mana, this thing's kind of just doing all the stuff. Like it's actually a pretty sweet card. It's a neat design, if nothing else.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this card is incredibly powerful. Against a control deck, it draws you 3 cards and provides a massive body. Against an aggro deck, on turn 3, you can tap down one of their attackers and have a 4 toughness blocker, while also giving you a card the next turn. Right. And so it provides answers to both types of strategies that you might be playing against. That's just with what you see in the tin. That's without adding additional -1/-1 counters or other types of counters from Lockmare as well. There are lots of ways to abuse, the counters that it comes in with, or to put additional counters on it that we aren't even touching on here. So yeah, extremely powerful card, even though it comes in as a 1/2 for 2 mana.
Yeah, whenever I see a 2 mana mythic creature, like the hairs stand up. You're like, yo, this is probably really, really good. So don't miss out on it. Let's move over to number 9. Ruben, what's number 9?
My number 9 is a card. Now, I broke my own rule here because this is a reprint. However, it is the first time that this card has been printed in Standard in 20 years. and that is Spell Snare. Spell Snare is counter target spell with mana value 2 for a blue mana.
Oh my god.
We've had reprints of Spell Snare in the past, in Battle Bond and as a part of the list, and as Modern Masters, but it hasn't been a part of a standard expansion since Dissension during Ravnica block. And this card, if you've never played against it, was quite good, even at the time. And now in our world of even quicker casting costs, even lowered casting costs, Spell Snare is definitely going to find a home, countering Lockmares, for example. Countering your Bloom Tenders that are in this set. Every deck has 12 2-drops in it, 16 2-drops in it. And Spell Snare, as a thing that you can play on the draw to be able to answer a 2-drop, always has been useful. It's now entering Pioneer, which is another big deal. And yeah, I think that Spell Snare deserves mention, even though it does break my rule of not listing reprints.
Oh yeah, back in the day, Spell Snare was even played in sideboards in the control matchups, right? To stop somebody else's counterspell or negate or whatever. So yeah, this card obviously is playable. It'll find a home somewhere. I don't think it'll be like overly played, but when you need it, you're gonna love that it exists.
I think this is main deckable. I think this is main deckable in a way that was never main deckable 20 years ago, because I played 20 years ago. I was there when Dissension came out. It was super cool. This was super powerful in the world of Legacy and whatnot. They have plenty of cool 2-drops and, stop your null rods and whatnot. But no, these days, we just talked about one, like we said, there's that stupid cub thing that's everywhere as well. There's just tons of just good targets. And 1 mana stop a really powerful thing, and they've been pushing those costs further and further down, makes this card better and better and better. And I absolutely, if it's over 20 years, it gets a green flag. And I mean, it's okay. I don't care. I don't think any rules are broken, because this card is awesome, and it's been a long, long time since we saw it, and I love it. Power Dragon, what's number 9?
Mine is an incarnation, and spoiler alert, it's not the only one on my list.
Ooh.
But Emptiness is the one that I have in the 9 slot. And for a few reasons, but Emptiness is a 6 mana 3/5, but you're not hoping to play it for 6. You're probably playing one of the 2 evoke costs. You either play double black or double white. If you pay double white, you get to return a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you play black, you get to put 3 -1/-1 counters on up to 1 target creature. This just has a lot of random uses, and in decks that may not even want it as a 3/5, but you just get that as a bonus later in the game, right? Like if the deck wants some type of cheap reanimation thing, which there's a few that want to do like the helping hand type stuff, or Oculus or whatever that costs 3. This is a perfect card for that, right? And you get a bonus creature on top of it later in the game. But also in a pinch, you're just like, I'm going to be behind. I'm on the draw. Let me go ahead and pay 2 and just get rid of this problematic creature while I'm trying to set up whatever it is I'm trying to set up. All the while adding another creature to your graveyard. So if that's already part of your strategy, it's like, great, now there's another creature over here I can do something with later. Like, I honestly, several of the incarnations are very good, but this one I can see just being almost more than anything, maybe less so than one other one I'll talk about later, is really here just because of the spell potential, even more than what you could do if you paid full price on it.
Yeah, this card is fantastic. This is, to me, one of the most perfect cards for that stupid bat deck. I play the black-white bat deck all the time, and this is the perfect, absolute perfect card. It's the removal early if you need it. It gets back the best thing that I just killed last turn, because it's always happening. And then late game, you get all of it at the same time, which is really stupid. That stupid bat deck has been waiting for this card. And I love the super cool elementals. Like that they had to bring back Evoke. I didn't care how they did it, but they brought it back in a really cool and fun way. I love the fact they have 1-word names, which is neat. Just everything about this card is awesome. And this, at the very first place I would put is that bat deck. Throw 2 copies in at the very least and go nuts.
I want to point out, for all the incarnations, they also worded them correctly where we can't get stupid with them, right? Like we can't reanimate them. Right. It's like you had to spend the mana to get the ability triggers, which is very cool.
These are designed in such a perfect way to require you to pay retail to get their benefit. because even if you blink them, if you reanimate them, if you cheat them into play somehow, you don't get the benefit. And if you reduce their cost too much, you also don't get the benefit, which is kind of hilarious. You kind of need to pay retail to get the full benefit out of all of these evoke elemental incarnations. I do wish that we got more evoke in this set. We didn't get, I think it's just on the elemental incarnations that we got evoke. But if this is the only place that we're going to get it, and maybe also in the commander decks, but in the main set, this is the only place we got it. If this is it, I'm happy that with these are really beautiful designs. They're clean, they're exciting, they're fair. Emptiness is, that return of creature helping hand effect is like 1.5 mana worth. 3-1/-1 counters is like 1.5 mana worth of effect. And so putting it on an emptiness to be like, here's both things, I think that's great.
Yeah, it's the fun of the it's good early and good late is like always great for me. Like those are my favorite cards.
Same.
For sure.
All right, let's move on here to my number 9. This is a really cool card. Now look, Lorwyn is the place where they really get to push the typal, or the kindred stuff. Let me get it wrong here. The kindred stuff, which being the creature type stuff, and in one of the best creature type cards, I know this is the type of card that I know of a buddy of mine who loves Merfolk, and he'll be like, "Oh my God, have you seen Harmonized Crescendo? It's like the perfect card for my deck." Like this feels like one of those. It's going to be the perfect card for whatever your kindred type deck is in standard and commander. Harmonized Crescendo is 2 blue, 4 generic mana for a rare instant with Convoke. Your creatures can help cast it by tapping them, and it pays for 1 generic mana or 1 mana of that creature's color, which is always nice. Choose a creature type and draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. It's very straightforward. It's not going to knock any design, crust off, but it's really fun and awesome in a way that casual players just absolutely love.
Yeah, there's nothing to complain about on this card. I mean, a lot of times you're going to get like 3 cards off of it. That's totally fine, right? Like just three cards for what's effectively probably going to be 2 or 3 mana in a lot of cases, right?
Exactly.
So like nothing to complain about on this at all. It's just seen it played already a couple of times. It's been really good. I don't think you go real heavy on it, but even just 2 copies in a deck, if you get one of them off, that's enough to change a game.
Sure. I mean, the fact that this is an instant means that I'm happy to play 3 copies of it in a standard deck. This is going to be a Sphinx's Revelation in your Fairies decks, for example, to refill after your bitter bloom bearers, start pumping out tokens, or if your Merfolk are untapping every turn. I think that this card is excellent.
Yeah, this card is sweet, and there's a reason that the special version is like $70 almost. Like because it's sweet, and people are going to like it, and I love it. Let's move on here to number 8. Ruben, what's number 8?
Well, can't tell you.
Oh.
The reason why I can't tell you is because my number 8 and my number 7 and my number 6 are all higher on other people's lists.
Hey, great minds think alike, man.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Certainly do. So Power Dragon, what's your number 8?
This is another one that surprised me because I wasn't sure how good it was going to be, but after playing with it and testing a few things, Selfless Safe Right has come through clutch in more than one scenario. It's a 5 mana, so 3 green for a 4/2 elf warrior with flash. It does have Convoke, and when it enters, you choose a creature type. Other permanents you control of that type gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This thing, I mean, just being able to protect your board from like a Day of Judgment, so good, right? Like you just have like 1 elf or something back, you attack with a couple of dudes, they try to get rid of the board, and you're like, nah, I'd rather you not. I get a body. And on top of that, you have like a 4/2 if you just need it to fight with in some cases, right? It can't protect itself. It protects everything else from that. But there were some times it's like, I need a 4/2 body. So you get the body and get to keep some other stuff from dying during combat. Like lots of cool little tricks you can just do with this card. I was really surprised. I think the reason a lot of people overlooked it, including myself, is that, well, if I'm not playing elves, how badly do I want this card? But then you're just like, well, if I'm playing anything with a creature theme, if I'm playing rabbits or whatever, right. I'm like, yeah, this is still a fine card. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
The thing was super impressive for me in the preview event. I had a deck that had 2 of these in it, and I was able to effectively counter a removal spell with one of them, and then end up with a 4/2 in play. And then several turns later, when the board got gummed up, I was able to like 5-for-1 a combat because I offered a bunch of trades. They took all the trades and then played this to be able to give all my things indestructible. So the flexibility of this card, not just from how you cast it, but also from what you cast it in response to, is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that kind of pushes and pulls of like how much exile do you need in your deck versus how much destroy you need in your deck, particularly if you're trying to be a control deck, because this is the card that keeps you up at night of like, I don't ever want to have them with 5 total, like 5 total convoke, they have 5 total, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because this will scare you. This will live in sideboards. This could live in main decks, but this is the type of thing that if I have an elf deck, I want this in it, maybe as a one of. I mean, and again, thinking maybe Brawl, play a lot of Brawl these days, I would absolutely put this in every elf deck I got. Like, this card's dope. I love it.
I think that this is also fine against farewell effects, because not only are you able to counterspell targeted things, you're not only able to win big combats or counter a Day of Judgment, you can also wait for the thing to resolve and then end up with a 4/2 in play and still be applying pressure. So at worst, it is a 4/2 with flash, which is still worth considering.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on here to my number 8. This is a card I'm not sure where. I'm sure it's somewhere. Somebody's doing something with this card. There's no reason it's currently selling for $26 plus, and people are not doing something weird with it. I haven't seen it yet, but you can't tell me a 1-mana 7/7 ain't exciting. Yeah. Moon Shadow is a 1-mana mythic creature. You know how good 1-mana mythic creatures are traditionally? Really powerful. Moonshadow is 1 black mana. 1 black mana for a 7/7 mythic creature elemental with menace. Sure. This creature enters with 6 -1/-1 counters on it whenever 1 or more permanent cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere while this creature has a -1/-1 counter on it. Remove a -1/-1 counter from it. Okay, that's awesome. Anything that you're fetching with, sacrificing, treasure tokens, whatever, any permanents whatsoever are going to pump it. It's not going to be that difficult to get this thing to be very big and scary. And there's other things that will pay things in counters and whatnot, remove counters as costs and stuff. So this thing gives you a lot of options. And like I said, the hype is already there. The hype is already real for this card being very, very good.
Yeah, I think it's the type of card where people look at it and just go, oh, this has to be something, right? I got to put this in a deck. And I think actually what I've seen is people putting it in too many decks that don't necessarily need it. But the ones that can really take advantage of it are great. Like I saw a Manifest deck with it. That was really cool.
Sure.
Just face down, pay 1, get a 7/7, like that was pretty sweet. There's the Fairy Looter that you can loot, and then you can also copy a thing in the graveyard for X.
Oh, so sure. Yeah.
You do that for 1 mana, right? So there's a couple of quirky ways to use it. You can't really take too much of advantage in a fair way, trying to do something every turn because you're just building up this like, all right, turn 4, I have this like 4/4 finally or whatever. But it's still tough, man. It is a really cool card. I think it's probably overhyped right now, but I do think it will find a deck that's going to be very good for this card.
Yeah. I think that there's some hype around it just because of the numbers. It says 7/7 and it says 1. And then we'll figure out the rest on the way home. That's what we got right now. Like we see Death Shadow numbers and we get excited.
Right.
And so how do we make that work? There are things that can be done with self-mill and discard and sacrifice. And there's lots of ways to do that. Not to mention that this is a good place to put extra -1/-1 counters when you want to like cycle through them. This would be good in like a Tigum deck. That you want lots of -1/-1 counters to be able to spend on your Tigum ability. So there's lots of good stuff to be able to do here. I understand the hype. I also don't know what we're doing with it. It hurts my brain. I'll wait till somebody smart figures it out, but I'm sure something will happen.
Absolutely. All right, let's move here to our number 7. Well, my number 7, Ruben's number 7 are higher. Power Dragon, do you have a number 7?
I do have a number 7, and this was the one champion that I just went crazy with when I played it each time, but Champions of the Perfect. It's 3 and a green for a 6/6 elf warrior. Additional cost, you have to behold an elf, so you have to exile it. And then whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and then when this leaves the battlefield, you get the exile card back to your hand. Now, the thing that I missed on this till I actually cast it was it's just for a creature. It doesn't say for each elf. So I was playing a deck that was also playing like Badger Mole Cubs and some other stuff along those. And I'm like, oh, so I just get to play like 9 cards in a turn. This is awesome. And I have a 6/6. So you don't even care about overcommitting because you've replaced half the creatures in your hand anyway. So you're just like, yeah, cool, man. Deal with this or don't. I don't care. Like this thing was awesome. I felt like of all the champions, this was the one I felt I had to work for the least and was easiest to get the most out of, which was great. Really unexpected. If I'm playing elves, I'm definitely putting at least 3 of these in the deck, if not 4. Like this thing's really good.
I mean, it's enormous. And in elves, you're usually getting this turn 3 because you have either a Llanowar elf or you have one of the various sundry 2-drops that tap for a green mana. Right. So this is also a Beast Whisperer that draws you a card for doing basically nothing. And yeah, extremely powerful. It gums up the board in a way in case you're playing against an aggressive haste deck or something that's slightly bigger than yours. If you're playing against a deck full of 4/4s and 5/5s like that elemental deck, and your deck is all 1/1s and 2/2s, you can get stonewalled pretty good. But if you got a 6/6 way up at the top that also draws you cards, I think we're in business.
Yeah, this is definitely the card that feels like it just is awesome because you're playing Magic. Like you don't have to do anything, you don't have to build your deck towards it or whatever. You're like, well, make sure there's elves in there. But other than that, like, okay, you're just playing Magic like you normally do, and it's like, here, have some cards. It's cool, have some cards.
The only other easy one to use was probably the Kithkin one, but even that's just like a 3/4 and it pumps your other guys. I'm like, this one gives you a full size 6/6, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, it's a 4/5 for what it's worth, but
4 or 5,
it's
sure,
not as good. I agree with you.
I mean, all of them are great, and I really liked the Kithkin one that had flash. I think that they all have the elemental one that deals 1,000,000 damage when you get it down and it survives for a turn.
Right.
I mean, they're all excellent.
There you go. So let's move on here to number 6 because we don't got no number 7. And I'll go ahead and start with number 6 because Ruben still doesn't have an entry yet.
I am still here, but yeah.
Well, look, there's a really, sometimes I look at cards and I read cards and I just go like, it's doing weird stuff. You know what I mean? It's doing things that are really abnormal. It has words on it that you haven't seen before or you don't see very often. Most of the time, cards get throttled. I mean, those numbers get weird. If you let something do too much, something can go haywire. And so I was reading Risk the Evermore, and I was like,
yeah,
this card's going to do something stupid. I don't know exactly how stupid, but it's going to be real stupid. Because for a white and generic mana, it is a rare 2/2 legendary creature elf warrior with flash, important. When he enters, another target creature you control gains persist until end of turn. When it dies, if it had no -1/-1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter on it. However, it's the ability that makes me go, because it says 1 white mana, tap, remove any number of counters from target creature you control, activate only as a sorcery. Did we not just go over a 1 mana, 6 -1/-1 counters? Did we just not do that? Because with flash, at the end of your turn, I'm going to play Risk, and you got through my upkeep and my draw step to kill him, or I just turned that into a 7/7. Like, that seems awesome, and that's just, I mean, come on. We're at the very tip of this iceberg of whatever millions counters goes on millions of things. This can remove any number of them. That's what perked me up more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is a cool, just kind of like 2 mana 2/2 that can save a creature, right? Like you give it gets persist, it comes back, cool. So like even just on its face, it could just be that. Like almost like giving a creature indestructible, but you end up with a 2/2. Right? That's all right. And then the upside is sometimes I'm just gonna get to remove counters from stuff. And there's some quirky things you could think about doing, right? Like the saga creatures, as an example. Right? Like you can just keep reusing your first or second level on your sagas over and over, which is kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know which ones we're putting it on yet, but like it's a thing we can do, right? So there's some really interesting things there. I don't know if it'll ever be like a top tier type card, but man, I could see it just making an appearance in so many decks. It's just like a fun of just protecting something, like almost like that card that you're gonna forget it exists until the time it beats you.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? Like your opponent's gonna do the thing, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's still a card. Damn it!" Right?
Yeah,
And then that's
sure.
it.
Reese was my number 8. Obviously the lore of Reese is great. Now has 3 different cards, going from a green-white card, a green, let's call it black card, mono green but with a black ability, and now a mono white card. And the lore around Reese is a little bit wistful and a little bit heartbreaking, as a lot of the stories of Lorwyn end up being, but it is nice to give the end of a story to such a important character to the lore of Lorwyn.
Yeah, the redeemed, the exiled, and the evermore.
That's right.
Yep.
Not in that order, I don't believe. But either way, it's cool. I think that card is super rad. Power Dragon, what's number 6?
Yeah, this is one. It's an uncommon, and I think people may not have paid attention to this one, but we're going to talk about Noggle Robber. It is 3 mana, so 1 and 2 Gruul mana for a 3/3 Noggle Rogue, whatever a Noggle is. I guess it looks like a dog coyote thing.
It's like a donkey thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kinda.
But when it enters or dies, create a treasure token. This thing, I'll tell you what, I played it in a Smuggler Surprise deck, and this thing just does so much work to set stuff up. Because you pay 3 mana, get a treasure. I'm already at 4 mana. I'm going to play a land next turn. I'm at 5. If I block and it dies or they remove it or anything, I can just Smuggler Surprise on the next turn. You know what I mean? Like, this set up a lot of crazy spells, or your overlords or whatever else. Like, this unlocks so much stuff. And the 3/3 body is a real size creature still right now. And just getting 2 treasure because this thing was great. Very surprising for an uncommon. Wouldn't be surprised if it finds its way into several decks, because it also gives you artifacts. Obviously, you know, if you need stuff to go to the graveyard, you get treasures you could sacrifice. It's a ramp card. I mean, the only thing bad about it is it doesn't fit any of the popular creature types. That's the downside. But otherwise, very cool card, and it can be played in either red or green. You don't have to have both.
Yeah. I mean, anything that says when this creature enters or dies, comma, do a thing, I'm in the market for. I think that, you know, having an impact on the board immediately and then having an impact after it gets removed, that can only be good. So, and treasures ramping you and giving you more permanence, even better. So on a 3/3 body, I'm very happy with this card.
Yeah, this is a giant upgrade. The only other card that really comes close, Goldvein Hydra, gives you treasure tokens equal to its power when it dies, tapped tokens for that matter.
Yeah.
But Patron of the Arts is the only card really close to it. It's a 3 mana 3/1 from Commander Legends Battle of Baldur's Gate. Yeah, that deck, or one of those decks. So and that's a red and generic for a 3/1 that does the exact same thing. This is one more colored mana, but it's hybrid, and it's a 3/3. So like,
and
make
extra
a permanent.
Toughness.
Yeah. The only standard legal thing we had was probably Jewel Thief, and I think Jewel Thief had Trample, but only made treasure when it entered. I think
exactly.
So, and Jewel Thief was like one of the best commons from New Capenna.
Oh yeah, totally playable.
Yeah,
100%.
limited, it was fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, this card is really cool and very much powerful and powered up for its mana cost. All right, let's take a look here at number 6 for us is complete. We're going to move on here to number 5. Ruben, you have a number 5.
I do. However, I share my number 5.
Oh my God.
So it isn't even my number 5.
Oh, come on.
Play the Soviet anthem. It's our number 5. But I am going to talk about it. And Power Dragon, you can tell the people what it is. Sure. They all, like I said, I love all of the evoke elementals from the new set. I think that they are all extremely cool. They're all extremely fun. But I think that there is one that is maybe not head and shoulders above the rest, but there's one that I see going in a specific deck. And that specific deck is Living End, by the way. This is a card that is going to have an immediate impact on the Living End deck, just because not only is it able to put itself into the graveyard, like all of the evoke elementals are, but its evoke, one of them, draws 2 cards and discards another card. So it's able to put 2 bodies into the graveyard just by itself. And it is...
Wistfulness.
My number 7.
Yeah,
Let's go.
so
This card rules.
5 mana for a 6/5, 3 and 2 Simic mana. And it actually has two really good, not quite always useful, but the blue side is always useful.
Yeah.
But 2 green to exile an artifact or an enchantment, which is important because it exiles the artifact or enchantment. And then 2 blue to draw 2 and discard 1. And just on rate, like 2 blue to draw 2, discard 1 is fantastic. Like, I can't imagine this doesn't show up in just a pile of decks just for the blue half, if nothing else. Like, occasionally, if I'm playing like a Simic aggro deck and I want to have some artifact or an enchantment removal but not give up creatures, like, sure, this probably can make the cut there too and be more than reasonable. But man, that blue side, I think that's going to be the reason this shows up in way, way, way more decks than you would think it would.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a reanimation target as a 6/5. Like, it's not an exciting reanimation target, but it puts itself into the graveyard, and it discards something else.
Yeah,
and it draws you cards. So
right, it's just kind of so priced to move. Remember, the green white or the green blue black deck focuses on the graveyard, wants you to get things in the graveyard as soon as
they're
possible.
already playing this.
Absolutely, as they should, because at least in today's environment, artifacts and enchantments are pushed. They are very good. You're likely to run into many of them over your days of playing, and this will, just destroy them on turn 2 or get them on turn usually 4, sometimes 3 if you got a lot of acceleration or whatever with the Badger Cub, Mole, and whatnot. This card is dope. Don't go sleeping on wistfulness. They rule. All right, let's move on here to my number 5. Now, look, a long time ago, galaxy far, far these days, God almighty, there was a card that was coming. Now, look, I was a big proponent of white weenie strategies, particularly when I first got started into getting back into Magic and whatnot. Like, I was the guy who played white weenie when everyone else was playing Affinity because, I could do stuff, I could stop them, I can change her. And so, so that didn't work. But at one point in time, I was able to go to a pro tour and I was able to talk to R&D. And one of the R&D people was like, I can't tell you what's coming, obviously, but I can tell you that you're really, really going to be excited for what shows up in Eventide. And what showed up in Eventide was a little card that was the pre-release promo Figure of Destiny. And in here we have Figure of Fable. And this one's even better than the last one. For a green/white mana, that is a Celestia hybrid mana. It is a 1/1. It is a rare Kithkin. For another green/white mana, it becomes a Kithkin Scout that's a 2/3. So 1 mana goes to 2/3 instead of 1 mana for a 2/2, which is what it used to be. For 3 more mana, 2 green/white hybrid and a generic mana, it becomes a Kithkin Soldier as a 4/5, again, larger than previously. And lastly, for 1 less mana than it used to cost, for 6 mana, 3 of it needs to be Celestia, 3 of it generic. If it's a soldier, it becomes a Kithkin avatar with base power and toughness, 7/8, and protection from each of your opponents. That means your opponents can't block it, can't target it. This is true name Nemesis. It's kind of just over. You're going to take 7 at this point until you die. So this card is very scary, very pushed, very cool. Maybe still kind of just a little not enough in terms of mana costs and whatnot and upgrade costs to really make it happen in standard. I don't know. I obviously wanted to, if nothing else, for the sweet, sweet nostalgia and the fact that I love how cool it is and how they kept on with this thing this many years later. But Figure of Fable is awesome and I love it.
I do like it in the sense that even if you just effectively play it for 2, it's a 2 mana 2/3, right? And you can kind of figure out the rest later, and that's reasonable. If you're playing in something that just has a bunch of mana, it's a quality mana sink, right? Later in the game, you get a bigger body. There's a lot of little things you can do with this. And I think everybody's first instinct is oh, it's a Kithkin, it's got to go in the Kithkin deck. And it's no, this might just go in some mono green aggro pile. I don't know, right? Or just like you're saying, mono white something. Right? I don't think we really know the best use for this card yet. And it has kind of fun art too. A different art style that almost looks like almost Crayola style drawn into the background, which I think is really neat. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff about this card. This is a fun pick.
Yeah. 2 mana 2/3 already better rate than Figure of Destiny. The 4/5 upgrade is better than Figure of Destiny. Also adding that colorless ability in there, not just the hybrid mana to make it easier to play. You can play it in twice as many decks. But that extra generic mana means that you can play it in 3 color decks maybe. Turning into the thing that has protection from everything eventually is also super nice. This card could see, I could see a world where you have like a control deck that has white in it, and you want to leave up counter spells, and you just play this and pass. And then
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah,
oh, you didn't play anything I want to counter? Great, upgrade.
Oh, forgive me. Earlier, I thought that Vigor of Destiny's ultimate was 7 mana. It's actually 6 mana, but it is all
Yeah,
Boros
it's all
mana.
colors. Yeah.
It's not
It's
3
all
generic
Boros.
and 3 Celestia. So there is that, which is nice. But yeah, this card is dope. And you know what? It's fun because I was playing in Sealed and I was like, wait, I don't really remember what protection from your opponents does. My
It
opponent
does everything, my friend.
they gladly showed me. They were like,
Right.
this 6 mana, I'm going to kill you now. And then I died. So
Yeah.
that's Figure of Fable for you. Card
The
is
way I remember,
fun.
if you're ever worried about protection, just remember the word det.
Yep.
If it's damaging, enchanting, blocking, or targeting.
There you
Like,
go.
those are the 4 things to worry about.
Let's move in here to number 4. Ruben, what's number 4?
So my number 4 is not only an excellent card that I expect to see lots of play in constructed formats, it's also an excellent callback to a card that saw lots of play in lots of formats. Many years ago, there was a card named Glen Elendra Archmage that made quite the splash on Standard. Everybody knows where we're going. And it was able to find a home in lots of control decks, particularly the 5-color Vivid Land control decks that were called Quick and Toast at the time. Don't ask. It's not worth getting into. But Glen Elendra was a type of fairy that was very popular. There were lots of fairies from Glen Elendra, but of the fairies from Glen Elendra, the Archmage was perhaps the most popular, the most played, and the most resonant. 20 years later, we now have Glen Elendra Guardian, who is a 2 generic and a blue fairy wizard with flash and flying. It is a 3/4, but enters with a -1/-1 counter on it. And for a generic and a blue and remove a counter from this creature, counter target non-creature spell, its controller draws a card. Similar, not the same, to how Glen Elendra Archmage used to do things, but in a new age, we want those numbers have to go up. We've got to make this thing be a 3/4 eventually. So this thing can jump in front of a 2/2 that's attacking you on turn 3 and take it out. And then you can untap and have counter spell up for any of your opponent's Day of Judgments or removal spells and what have you. And you get the benefit of it becoming a 3/4 as a result. So this is a very powerful card. You can flash it in and just have a 2/3 flyer that is, in case of emergency, break glass. You also have the ability to, for 5 mana, have a creature that counters a spell as soon as it comes in. Lots of love about this card. Only 1 blue pip. Comes in with 3 toughness to knock off those 2/2s. Thing's great.
Yeah, I think this is another case where people just saw the word fairy and went like, okay, it goes in the fairy deck. And it's like, I don't know, my Simic aggro deck might want this guy, right? Like just a way to stop board sweepers or whatever. Like this is totally reasonable to play in non-fairy decks because if nothing else, like fine, I have a 2/3 flyer. Right? Like it's still gonna beat down, especially if it gets Ouroboros tokens or whatever.
Right.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's still got work to do.
Dang,
you know what I mean?
Ouroboros with this guy? That's great.
And you remove a counter. It doesn't say what type of counter. So if you got some plus and plus ones, your opponent's never getting a non-creature spell off, basically.
It's true.
Or stuff like a trample counter, a lifelink counter. Like those types of counters, at least what we've seen so far, might be coming in Strixhaven. So if you start dumping random, ability counters on creatures, this looks pretty fantastic. And this is
Snakeskin Veil leaves a plus and plus 1 counter. Oh, yeah. And protects your body, right?
This is the exact kind of card that works amazing in tempo decks. This is the card, you slam it down, your shields are down for more or less that one moment. Can you kill the 2/3 flyer at instant speed? Nope. Okay, cool. Now shields are going to be up for now on. So you're going to have to burn that spell. Yes, you get the draw card off of it, but now my threat gets even better. All of my counters ever can start making this thing even more annoying. Like this card is sweet. Don't you got to give it a minute, and I think you really need to see this type of thing in play for people to really understand. Like, yeah, you countered their Planeswalker and they drew a card, but you countered their Planeswalker, so now they don't do anything and they burn through 5 mana or 4 mana or whatever it was to do so. Like, it's good stuff. All right, let's move on here to Power Dragons number 4. What you got?
My number 4 is a really good card, but it's higher on somebody else's list.
Oh, that's really good, though.
There you go.
We totally assure you. Well, this is a card that's good. I'm guessing this is one of Ruben's cards that is higher. This, to me, I believe got the most hype, at least in terms of people going like, "Oh my god, this card's been incredible." And I hate to say it, certainly the wheels of time, the river floweth over me, and have made me jaded. So these days, I'm not quite as freaky excited about these cards as I probably would have been 20 years ago, let's say. But I can't deny that it does look like a really cool creature in Hexing Squelcher. Hexing Squelcher is a rad goblin dude.
Yeah.
It's a red and generic mana for a 2/2 red, 2/2 rare goblin sorcerer. It can't be countered. It has ward of pay 2 life. Spells you control can't be countered, and other creatures you control have ward pay 2 life. It's going to mess with your opponent. They're going to hurt for it. It's absolutely going to resolve. So, like, is it enough? I don't know. It doesn't say like protection from wrath because it ain't got any. That's my concern. Is it just gets killed with any Day of Judgment like spell and you move on with your day.
Sort of, but goblins right now, especially in Lorwyn Eclipse, are really about sacrifice, pinging, multiple things dying, draining your life total. And if Squelcher even does 2 or 4 damage along the way, because you have to get rid of something better, like that might just be enough. It may not need to do a lot,
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that standard is where this thing is going to end up shining. This thing is, this was, by the way, my number 6. Just to get that out of the way. Of course, this thing was on my list. It had to be on my list. This thing is incredibly dangerous, and it's going to be incredibly good in probably sideboards in standard. 2/2 for 2 is not really what we're looking for against other aggro decks. It's not really what we're looking for unless our opponent is specifically playing targeted removal. But it is maybe the most important card printed in the last year, if not longer, for CEDH.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things that look like this have limiters on them. Allosaurus Shepherd, for example, says your green spells can't be countered. There are things that say during your turn, your spells can't be countered, or your creature spells can't be countered. I don't think there's a defense grid kind of effect, look it up, that this spell can't be countered and spells you control can't be countered exist together on the same card. I'm having trouble. I don't think there's one that exists that is just spells you control. We had Vexing Shusher many moons ago back in Shadowmoor, but that was an extra mana investment as well. This requires no additional cost for you. Also, it's a generic into red, which is wild. Like, we can play it in our 3-color decks.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Red. I'd be okay here. But also, standard probably not going to be where this thing shines the most.
No, I was in the same boat. When I read through it, I was like, why is this not 2 red mana? Right? Like, it feels like it should be red,
Or
and
hybrid,
it's just
right?
Yeah, maybe even that, right? It's just not for whatever reason. And I'm with you. The most consternation I would say around this card has been from the competitive commander community.
Yeah.
Like that's where this is from big time. Like, everybody else is kind of going, this is good. This would be a little bit of a problem. Or, if I'm playing older formats, I have to work around it a little bit. But that's the community that really seems concerned about this card.
Whenever I see a card like this, and like I think the first thing you go to is an aggro thing or aggressive strategies and so on. And then I go, what happens in the control mirror when you resolve this?
That's fun.
You know what I'm saying?
This is a control card is fun. In like a Jeskai mirror.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
And what's funny? We literally, what was your number 9 card, Ruben? Spell Snare.
Oh, Spell Snare. I mean, yeah, obviously.
No Spell Snare for you, bruh. Ain't gonna do nothing. Because in the mirror, they would have Spell Snares for their mana leak, like No More Lies effects and so on.
Right.
You resolve this guy on your side of the board. Uh-oh.
You're siding out all your wraths in the control mirror. You've only got targeted removal, if anything.
If anything, and my stuff never gets countered. So
that's great. What a delightful level that is.
They're like, oh, Lightning Helix. No, I Spell Snare your Lightning Helix. You don't Spell Snare my Lightning Helix. Thank you very much. Oh, I think that's fun. Let's see here. Moving on here to number 3. Ruben, what's number 3?
My number 3 is also my final hire on somebody else's list.
Ooh.
I bet it's good. Power Dragon, what's number 3?
Mine is a 3-mana Planeswalker because those have to be good. That's the rules to Magic. But a Johnny Outland Chaperone. 1 white for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, you get to make a 1/1 green-white Kithkin creature. -2, you deal 4 damage to a tapped creature. -8, you look at the top X card of your library, where X is your life total. You may put any number of non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Crazy ability for no good reason on Johnny, but it cares about life total, which Johnny Planeswalkers tend to do. Yeah, this thing was just solid. I mean, I could see this showing up in a lot of different decks. Whether you're playing stuff that cares about Kithkin, just cares about +1/+, or just creature tokens. I mean, like it's possible you even play this in some mid-rangey Planeswalker token control thing with Caretaker's Talent, things like that. Like it can show up there. Like this has room to show up in a lot of places. And that -4 to just get rid of, or -2 to just get rid of something that's tapped is brilliant on this card. Now, if you do -8, it's just game over. I mean, like, I don't think that's really like a thing. You're going to put like 12 things on the battlefield and whatever. So you don't even really consider that as far as what the card does. But the other 2 abilities, just great on a 3-mana Planeswalker.
Yeah, this is I drafted right before we started recording this, as we do on release day. Pick 1, pack 1. There he was. Yeah, there he was. I didn't care. Doesn't matter what was in that pack. I don't give a crap. This is the old school. This is the old school at this point. Planeswalker design. It protects itself. It kills something to protect itself. Its ultimate does not really matter, because if you left this thing alone for 5 turns, you deserve to get whatever it's doing over there and putting 12 permanents or whatever on the battlefield. Like, this thing is dope. It's really cool. It's very powerful. They got to be really careful with 3-mana Planeswalkers for obvious reasons and whatnot. Llanowar Elves is in the format. This is a turn 2 card easily. But it's not going to, hopefully, overpower and take over the game per se, but it is going to be something you have to take care of sooner than later. And it's, it's a Johnny. He's just going to keep putting that pressure on, just like he used to in the old days.
And they created, an ultimate that you have to work for, right? This isn't like, oh, okay, 2 turns later, a crazy thing's going to happen. Like, this has to be there for a minute, unless you're, I don't know, doubling counters with doubling season or something. This is going to take a minute to get there.
Well, I can tell you, for my number 3, it's 3 times as expensive as a Johnny. I can tell you why. Because once again, as we talked about this kindred stuff, and how we have kindred cards and cards that reward creature types that you play all together. These are the type of cards that I'll just use forever. Whenever I'm building a brawl deck, whether it's standard brawl or regular brawl, because that's my commander, y'all. It's how I live and breathe it. Whenever I'm building something that cares about creature types until the end of time now, I'm going to include a Chronicle of Victory. Chronicle of Victory is a 6 generic mana mythic legendary artifact. When it enters, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +2/+2 and have first strike and trample. And whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, you draw a card. Okay, just do all the things, please. First strike and trample just matters in a variety of ways. Obviously, it's ridiculous on its own. Like, it's obviously crazy and limited, but like, again, if you care about creature types, you're building the elf deck, you're building the sliver deck, whatever it is, it's hard to argue to not put this in it. You know what I'm saying? Which is why it's $17 plus just right now.
Yeah. Banner of Kinship is still like $8 or $9.
Wasn't that rare too?
Yeah, there's the other one too from a while back. The
Vanquisher's
5-mana
Banner?
one. Yeah, Vanquisher's Banner. That's been reprinted like 4 times and it's still like a $4 or $5 card. So that tells you how popular these effects are with players, particularly in Commander. But this card is those plus. I mean, like, it's +2/+2 first strike and trample is a crazy line of text when you're even if you just have like 4 creatures.
Absurd.
Like, that's huge. I mean, that's a ton. And then as a bonus, you're like, and then I'll just get to draw cards for the rest of the game. Like, why not? But yeah, every elf deck, every sliver deck, everybody's gonna want to be playing this card. Like, I can't see why you would, assuming you're playing like bracket 3 or lower and you're playing a theme deck. Like, this makes sense.
I don't think that there's a draft pack I could open, pack 1, pack 2, pack 3 in this format where I wouldn't take this first.
Oh my Lord.
This was my number 7.
Nice.
I lost to this twice in the preview event.
Nice.
and it wasn't close either time. I was winning a little bit in one of them, and it was close in another one, and then this card came down, and I wasn't close to winning either game for the rest of that game. Yeah, if you don't get rid of this thing, you can't win. And first strike on the defensive end, trample and first strike on the offensive end.
I was just about
drawing
to say,
a card even after a wrath. It's it's crazy.
The defense of the first strike, I think, is the thing that kind of gets noticed the least here, because a lot of people are like, I'm gonna slam it, I'm like, no, you're gonna slam it sometimes and be like, I've got 2 5/5 first strikers, go. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll add more dudes later, or whatever. Like, that's the type of stuff that often doesn't get thought about.
And limited, especially, like, Overrun is still a real card.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, this is basically Overrun, but you also get first strike.
Right.
Forever. Yeah. It's not even for one turn. Like, you just have.
Yep, it's crazy. It's crazy. God almighty. Well, let's move on here to number 2. Speaking of crazy, my number 2 is higher on somebody else's list. So my number 2 is someone's number 1. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's dope. But Ruben, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is one of the main characters of the set. For those of you who don't know, the lore of Lorwyn Eclipsed is that 4 precocious first years from Strixhaven, 5 of them technically, stumble into Lorwyn. And they find themselves there and they go, oh no, how do we get home? And they do what any young adult would do. They accidentally cause an international crisis. Oops. By which I mean they accidentally trigger the Great Aurora and hilarity ensues. And one of those precocious first years is named Tam, Mindful First Year. Tam, Mindful First Year is a generic and then either a green or a blue for a 2/2, so 2/2 for 2, for a legendary creature, Gorgon Wizard, that says each other creature you control has hexproof from each of its colors and has the activated ability of tap. Target creature you control becomes all colors until end of turn. There's a lot of things going on this card, but the main thing that it does is that it's a Mother of Runes. It protects my family, protects all families. This gives you protection from Lightning Bolt. This gives you protection from Swords to Plowshares. This gives you protection from, whatever targeted thing you're trying to get through on a targeted removal effect. And so that's a really important thing to be able to have, especially in either a green or a blue deck, which traditionally doesn't get that repeatable effect. Usually that's in white. And so this, at the low cost of 2, is being able to do that. However, for this set in particular, getting to be all 5 colors is good for the ability Vivid. If you have any Vivid cards in your deck, this says tap, make all of your Vivid things X equals 5. So draw 5 cards, cost 5 less, search for 5 basic lands, whatever it is, there's enough cards in the set with Vivid that this will be able to do that for you.
I kind of like this even as a sideboard option, as a metagame choice, right? If there's a lot of mirror matches you're expecting, or, with a lot of spot removal, blue bounce spells or whatever, like, this could be the type of card. It's like, okay, cool. I'm just going to slow you down, turn off all your stuff or whatever. So you have to deal with Tam before you can do everything else, right? There's some quirky little spots where this card could get some play. And I don't think we've really thought about and explored this card quite enough.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any Vivid cards on their list, and I kind of wouldn't expect it, but I would say that, again, you feel little tingles. And I'm telling you, when I saw that Mythic Vivid guy, the green one, so you're telling me I could get
Aurora Awakener?
2 mana for the Aurora Maker? You read what that card does? It's very stupid.
Oh, remind me later. I'll share a clip from one of my videos where I played
I saw that
but like 19 cards left in my library.
I want to see it because, again, I was like, man, that card seems, if you made that thing 2 mana, that's ridiculous. Like, okay, whatever. Leyline of the Guild Pack still exists in Standard. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, anything that reminds me of Mother of Runes is just going to be a win. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I think that's awesome. I think there's a lot of really cool ways to manipulate how this works. This is one of those, interesting cards that, like, look, I'm going to affect everything else. So you better mess with me first. Otherwise, I'm going to mess with you everywhere else. So, and then when you finally get rid of her, well, you just play another copy, of course, at that point, because she's easy and cheap. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. Power Dragon, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the last of the incarnations for me, and the one I'll probably end up playing the most. And honestly, it's also the cutest one. But Vibrance is a 5 mana 4/4, so 3 and 2 Gruul mana. When you play double red, you can deal 3 damage to any target. When you play double green, you can search your library for a land card and gain 2 life. The interesting thing is really a two-part thing with these abilities. One is it's 3 damage to any target. Lately, we've been getting a lot of stuff that's like deal 3 to a creature or planeswalker, or just deal 3 to your opponent, or whatever. Like this has no restrictions, which is a very big deal. So a lot of decks could play this just to deal the 3 damage. But on the 2 green side, it's also search your library for a land card, not a basic land, just a land. So you could go get a lot of stuff, especially right now in a format where you're going to be playing a lot of creature themed decks. You can go get like a secret tunnel and make 2 things unblockable, right? Like that's a thing that's available. So lots of fun stuff you could do with this card to the point that I could see this showing up into a lot of decks, even for just the land search portion. And then you just get the other damage portion every once in a while if you need it. But again, most Gruul decks could play this if they wanted to, just to have the 3 damage straight up and a big creature later. Like lots of cool spots I think this card could show up that again, it's early, so I don't think we've really figured out the best uses for all these incarnations, and this is one of those.
Yeah, this card is sweet. Like, the fact that I can go get Bossing Say or whatever off that double
Right.
green
Yeah.
is dope. Like, that's really cool. You know what I mean? Those are the types of utility lands. I mean, in older formats, maybe. I don't know. You can even go get like the Kamigawa lands or whatever. But, in our day and age, in this standard, which I think is probably where this would see play, you're likely going to 2, maybe 3 for 1, depending on how it ends up, which is great. And yeah, I mean, these elementals are just so cool. Like, they did such a really great job designing these things. I think they're really interesting, and they have just enough power on both sides to make them really interesting no matter which side you're using. If you have to ignore one side, it's not the end of the world. You're not losing all the value. You're literally losing kind of half the value.
Yeah. And also it's cute.
And it's adorable. Absolutely adorable. All right.
Little cutie.
Little cutes. Now let's move on here to number 1. Now again, somebody's number 1 is my number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and bust out my number 1. I'm guessing it is Ruben's number 3 and Power Dragons.
Do we all have the same number 1?
We do not.
No.
Oh, okay.
But I'm guessing it's y'all's lower highers or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, my number 1 is Bitterbloom Bearer. This card is bonanners. I finally got to play with this thing. I got it in one of my steel decks, and it's there's a reason it's $30 right now. Y'all pre-order or whatever, because this card's ridiculous. End of your turn, I have a Bitter Blossom. My Bitter Blossom attacks now, which is great. Like, yeah, there's more removal, but who cares? Multiples of these stack and go crazy. There's lots of ways to gain life and whatnot in this format. There's tons of ways to reward, having lots of cards that you get because you just add more threats to the board and don't have to play more threats because they got to deal with this or it will kill them in like 5 turns. Like, they got to do something. So, like, this is a card that has to be answered, that has to be looked at. You cannot ignore Bitterbloom Bear, or it will kill you, or it will create an army large enough that it's hard to kill me because I'm hiding behind a wall of whatever, and then I gain a whole bunch of life, and it doesn't matter. Like, this is the reason they made this thing. The 1 out of 500 is real. Like, there's a whole reason, and that's because I think this is one of, if not possibly the best card in the set. This card is fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah, I would say even if you don't gain life when playing this, like your 1 mana, your 1 life blockers are really blocking 2 to 4 damage each time, right? Unless the things have trample, obviously.
Right.
So you're still trading up on life, even if you're not gaining anything. And sometimes that's just good enough while you're still doing your regular game plan.
Right.
Yeah. Bitterbloom Bearer obviously is the headliner of the set, although I don't know that they called it that specifically. But we have the Rebecca Gay art, making it the chase card of the set. Harkens back to Bitter Blossom, iconic card from the first time around from Morningtide, absolutely powerhouse in standard. I don't see a reason why this would be any different, particularly being a flyer itself. So I have high hopes for this card. I hope that it will succeed where some other homage cards have not succeeded as well. It is not the higher that is remaining on my list.
Well, I just know that, I kind of, when we see these cards, when we see these really cool mythics and whatnot, I feel like there was a point in which this has not had Flash, and somebody just went in and what, Flash? because they're like,
Sure.
it just needs one more thing to make it just pop.
But I think the idea though was to let you get at least one trigger off of it.
No, I get it.
Right. I think that was the idea. Because like it would suck to you pay my 2 black, I pass the turn, they kill it, and not even get anything. Like so it's like let you get at least one off of it.
Right. I think this card would be like half as excited if it didn't have the word flash on it.
Yeah.
But I could also understand, particularly, 15, 20 years ago, this would absolutely not have flash. No way in the world that this would have had flash when Lorwyn first showed up. So I think that's an interesting, difference between then and now. Either way, that's my card of the set. Ruben, what is your number 1?
Traditionally, when I do these top 10s, I like to have a little bit of fun. I like to, mess around a little bit in the first 5 that I name, number 10 through number 6. I like to, dip my toe, be like, here's a mythic that could see something happening. Here's a way to do a 2-card combo. And then with my 5 through 2, usually I'll be like, all right, here's a chase card. Here's like a really expensive mythic. Here's a card that's, $1 million and good in commander. And then my number 1, I'm like, all right, I'm done messing around. My number 1 card is the card I think is going to see the most play. My number 1 card is the card that is going to be in the most decks in Constructed from the set. And that card for me is Reckwitting Hex. Reckwitting Hex is a 1 black mana, instant speed, uncommon removal spell from Lorwyn Eclipsed that says as an additional cost to cast the spell, you can blight 1. Destroy target creature with mana value 2 or less. If the spell's additional cost was paid, you gain 2 life. Simple, easy, clean, instant speed 1 mana removal spell for your 2-drop. It's Spell Snare with upside against most of the decks in Standard in the format. You're able to either put -1/-1 counters on your, your elf that uses -1/-1 counters, or just make your 1/3 an O2 or whatever if you really want to gain that 2 life. Otherwise, it just kills your Tarmogoyf. It just kills your 2-drop. And that's what Reckwitting Hex is. So that is the card I believe will see the most play from this set. Reckwitting Hex is my number 1.
Yep, wow. That was my number 4, actually. So, yeah, and, just repeating most of what Ruben said. I think this card is likely to be the most played card in the set just because it's easy to splash and everything. It's the fatal push. It's the, whatever, right? All the 1 mana black removals or remove the early cheap creature, right? It's just does the job, especially right now where people are worried about Badger Mole Cub. And it's like, hey, here's a way to get rid of a cub when you're even on the draw, which is nice, right? So lots of spots this is going to fit in, and it's good against fairies. It's good against most of the Kithkin. So it's good against a lot of the things, even within the set, which I think is a very big deal.
I did want to give a quick shout out to Seer, which is a generic and red instant that deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker at instant speed. I think that's also going to see a lot of play, but I'm only going to put 1 boring removal spell on my list, and this is where we are.
Actually, another low-key removal, Boulder Dash, has done a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there too.
Yeah, I was not ready for this pick. I thought your pick was something totally different, which obviously is fine. But I can also see like 1 mana kill a bunch of things that we really dislike getting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because anything as this is in terms of efficiency, it is as efficient as they can make it. You know what I mean? They can't make it cost less unless it's Phyrexian mana. And maybe we'll see that card one day. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised, but
hopefully not.
Until then, start running the hexes. You don't necessarily need to shoot the sheriff when you just have 1 mana. They'll do the job instead of 2 mana. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Loki, shoot the sheriff's value starts sliding when changelings start popping up.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Yeah. Unfortunate for our hero.
A lot of the fairies are various outlaws as well.
It's true. Rogues and assassins. Yep. And
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Well, we got enough sheriffs in the middle of it now. Okay, so with Power Dragons number 1, I'm pretty sure it's Ruben's number 3, it's my number 2, and it's Power Dragons number 1, and it better start with an F, right?
Well, yeah.
No, obviously it does.
I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible at Clue. All right,
so we done?
Power Dragons, what's number 1?
Terrible at Clue.
Formidable speaker. I think everybody's been waiting around. Is like, when are y'all going to talk about this card? Yeah, it's 2 and a green for a 2/4 elf. Let you discard a card, search your library for a creature, and for no good reason, you can just pay 1 and tap it to untap target permanent. Not even untap target creature, target permanent. whatever, man. And it's on a rare, which is great because if this was a mythic, it'd probably be like $40.
Oh
So
my God.
great that it's a rare and we can get these at a reasonable price. But yeah, these are going to show up in a lot of places. I mean, we see it in various reanimator decks because it lets you discard a thing and go search for your other, and well, now Cavaro or Superior Spider-Man, whatever your choice is, right? Like, great there. It's great in the elf decks to go get either of your overrun type creature, whether you're trying to go get a Crater Hoof or you just want something to pump your team, or maybe you're setting up to draw a bunch of cards, as we saw with the Champions of the Perfect, right? So this just shows up in a lot of places where if you're playing anything creature based, or honestly, if you have a creature you're building around, like say you're building a Doran deck, and you're like, okay, well now I kind of have 8 Dorans, so I can always have the card when I need it, right? Like this, I don't even think we all know like there's cool things we could do with this. I don't even think we know the best things to do with this yet.
No.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, this does two very useful things. One, disagreeable useful thing of the discard a card part, but it is a one-use survival of the fittest that lets you discard anything to go get a creature. Then let's not ignore the fact that this untaps a not a Sigarda, a Selvala or a Gaia's Cradle or a Bloom Tender or some other big giant mana thing that we want as well on Formidable Speakers. So, and it's got 4 toughness on a 3-drop, which I love. 2 4s for 3. Courser of Crewfix is my homeboy, and Formidable Speaker is another one of those. Very good creature type elf here. We've got. There's not a world where this card doesn't see play in Commander. There's not a world where this doesn't see play in some sort of standard deck. I think that there's weird combo decks that could probably use this. It was an excellent card from Jean-Emmanuel Dupre, who is the world champion of the World Champions number 29, to make this card and appear on this card. Excellent choice and well done.
Yeah, this is, I mean, they put the world champion on a card they feel is going to be good. And boy, I'm pretty sure this is going to be good.
They got it this time.
Pre-ordering almost $12 for a rare, and that is very hard to find these days. And do note, this is kind of unprecedented. Fauna Shaman is similar, and you could do it every turn, but you had to discard a creature card. Same thing with Survival of the Fittest. This lets you discard anything. Anything you want to get in your graveyard. You're trying to put vehicles in there, enchantments in there, like whatever. He's there for you. Like, I guarantee that second ability is going to absolutely sneak up on somebody and wreck their life because they've never even thought about using that second ability. They're just like, wait, don't you just use it to discard and go find the thing? And it's like, no, dog, this thing is absolutely incredible. The green, black, blue, Reanimator stuff decks, the one with the new Spider-Man, the black, blue Spider-Man guy is crazy with this. This will see just an absolute ton of play. And it didn't even need to be a 2-4, but they pumped the stats to a 2-4. Just wild and crazy how good this card is. It was one thing when it was like, well, you could Fauna Shaman was powerful and Survival was powerful only if you had a creature in your hand. Now, whatever, discard a land and go find the best creature late. Awesome.
Also, Fauna Shaman was small, right? It's a 2/2, right? A 2/4 is a real body that makes a difference, especially against like mono red and whatever. We're just trying to buy that extra turn,
right?
Like this is hell. You could even chump block with it. It could make them spin something. It dies. Great. You still got what you want in hand to go off the next turn, right? Like this card is really, really good.
Yeah, that 4 toughness just goes hard, man. Like it's really difficult to get past that, or just 2-for-1 that mono red opponent. Like, okay, not only did you 2-for-1 yourself, I got exactly what I wanted out of my deck, which could have been a pro red card or whatever, some crazy thing you can't deal with, something's going to game you a bunch of life or whatever. Man, this card is priced to move, and it's fantastic. This was where I was like, I read it when they debuted it, I think at Worlds or whatever, and I was just like, are you serious? Really? Discarding any card. That was where I was like, y'all, this is off the chain. Nothing's making sense anymore. Goodness gracious. Okay, that was our top 10 Lorwyn Eclipsed cards we're bringing up here on screen right now. For your review, you can take a look at my list, Power and Dragon's list, Ruben's top 10, and we want to hear from you about what card we did not talk about. And we'll select our favorite to highlight in our next top 10 show. But before we go, I would like to thank our co-host. Thank you, Ruben.
Hey, thanks for having me. This was great.
Thank you, Power Dragon.
As always, good to be here, and I will be neck deep in Lauren for probably the next like 2 weeks, just building a billion decks, I think.
What a lovely, lovely set. As we move here to our final slide, I want to thank our primary sponsor, manapool.com. Remember to hit up manapool.com/promo/magicmics for your free money. Co-sponsor manatraders.com, my co-host Power Dragon and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening, and hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online at twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Blue Sky at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.